Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again, and I did not see the Fantastic Four today again because I have just not been feeling as well after filming. I really overextended myself, and I was very idiotic. I didn't take any breaks. I didn't drink as much water as I needed to, and I really, really pushed myself to an idiotic extent. And it's not the amount of stuff I did; it's just how I handled it and how I, didn't really do the normal things that you should do, like take a break every hour or so. I didn't do any of that. I pushed myself. And, we did a lot of filming in a short amount of time. And so I didn't really want to go to the movie. So sorry, guys. But I thought I would really like to rank my top 10 best and worst superhero movies of all time. I have not seen a lot of the older superhero movies. I've never seen any of the Christopher Reeves movies. And then there's some that I haven't seen in a long time. There's one called Elektra, and obviously that's Elektra from Daredevil. I haven't seen that one since I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I hated it, but I can't speak to it now because I don't have the firsthand, I can for sure say that this was really bad. And then Elektra isn't even really a superhero, right? She's a villain or anti-hero, so yeah. These movies, though, I think I got about 5 or 6 Marvel movies and 5 or 6 DC movies. The surprising thing is that I do not have a single Fox movie until just now, because I just remembered there's one. And actually, I'm not even going to put it on the list because I don't think it's bad enough to put it on this list. And I'm not even going to say what it was because, honestly, I think that Fox superhero movies were not that bad. I think that a lot of them get a bad rap. And there's one in particular that, is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. And it is so much better than the majority of MCU movies. And so I can't wait to tell you guys about that one. But let's get started. I would also like to say there are certain ones that I really wanted to put on this list. But I thought about there are some good things about them that I like enough to keep them off of this list. So those would be The Batman, which I hate that movie. Hate it. Twilight Boy as Batman, terrible. Catwoman's terrible. Movie's overly long and very boring and bland and dull. It felt like they took stuff from Monk. It was just, I hated that movie. And then Amazing Spider-Man 2, that one's really bad, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure because it's a lot of fun. And I do think that they wasted a lot of great elements. That movie, it didn't have to be bad. It had a lot of great ingredients to make a good superhero movie, and it's just that the person who made it, he just was not the right person to put in charge of Spider-Man. He was only focused on romance, and that's because he was a romance movie director. So, that was the strongest thing to people about those movies, which is pretty weird because of some other stuff. And then also the Spider-Man MCU movies and Deadpool and Wolverine, those are all movies that I considered putting on this list, but they are not here. So with that being said, my number one dishonorable mention is Doctor Strange and the Multiverse, or In the Multiverse? I can't remember. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse, or In the Multiverse of Madness. This movie commits horrible character assassination against Doctor Strange. right off the bat, the movie starts off and his love interest is getting married to someone else, and he's at the wedding. He's attending his own love interest's wedding. I mean, how like blatantly like horrible can you be to your main character in a movie? I think that this movie it extends the possibilities of how much shit that you can do to a main character in a bad way. And then you also have the fact that this movie is not really a Doctor Strange movie. It is all about Scarlet Witch. And she is the main character. She's the main focus. And then you have this stupid side story about America Chavez. She's a terrible, boring character. She's a token character. She's boring as hell. And her whole story sucks. She's trash. I like the actress. I mean, all she does is just show up to the red carpet premieres for MCU movies. And, she always has, like, a really cool look. And she was even at the Fantastic Four premiere. She's always at the premieres. But, like, this movie's terrible. They wasted Sam Raimi. I just think that, once Scott Derrickson left this movie, they should have just canceled it. Because Scott Derrickson, his original vision, that's what we wanted to see. And I'll never forget Kevin Feige, after Scott Derrickson said that it would be a R-rated horror movie about Nightmare, the villain Nightmare versus Doctor Strange. Kevin Feige said, no, it's going to be PG-13 and you're going to like it. And that to me is just like a giant fuck you to the audience. And I also think it really sucks that they wasted John Krasinski as Reed Richards in this movie, because he is the one that we want to see as Reed Richards. And so I really despise that about this movie. It's almost like, again, like they just bring him there so he can get killed off. And I hate everything about this movie. Hate it, hate it, hate it. The only reason why people say this movie is good is because they take little tiny moments of horror that Sam Raimi did, and they say, look how good the movie was because of this 1 second moment. And that's what you call Twitter. So number 10 is Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is one of the horrible Zack Snyder movies that they were all big failures. And this one was the least amount of failure to me, because there were elements of it that I thought were really good. I really loved the Batman warehouse scene, the action scene, and I did think that what did they call it? The ultimate cut, the extended cut, it actually kind of redeemed the movie a little bit, because it made the movie make sense. The theatrical version did not really make much sense. But at the end of the day, I just think that this movie had way too much in it. I think that it showed that he just wanted to make a Batman movie, and he had to throw Superman in there, like all this stupid Superman shit. And I hated Superman in this movie. I don't like him at all. I think that this movie is terrible. It's awful, but it is the least bad out of all of these movies on the list. Well, except the other one, Doctor Strange 2. That is better because, well, they're both horrible. Number 9 is Man of Steel. I rewatched this recently, and it has gotten worse. There are things about it I like. I love the score. I love the idea of Henry Cavill's casting. Like, I think that he looks the part. I love Russell Crowe. I think that Jor-El and the whole Krypton sequence at the beginning of the movie is actually the best part of the entire movie. Like, I think that he could have done a better movie if it was just all about Krypton, and then, like, a better director would do the Superman movie. But this movie, Superman, he is just, like, a giant, like, robot, alien creep, and he is so just cold and unrelatable. And, even at the end of the movie, he's like, I'll be Superman, but only on my own conditions. And it's like, ugh, God, he gave off such a creepy, evil vibe. And, the whole movie's basically about how he was sent to Earth, and then Kevin Costner screwed him up, and then Russell Crowe had to, basically unbrainwash him and, tell him what to do. It was like the battle of the two father figures. And so I hate this movie, though. I hate Superman in it. He's basically like a terrorist. So number 8 is Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is a 4-hour mess. It is epic in the very literal sense, because it's 4 hours. But, it's funny because I'm always the person who says more is better. If a movie's longer, then that's really good because it is the vision. You don't want to cut stuff out that interferes with the vision. You don't want to cut stuff out that, kind of takes away from a full experience, because then you're getting like a chopped up experience. You're not getting the actual vision that was in the script. But this movie was just way too much. And honestly, I don't relate to any of the characters in this movie except for Batman. He's fine. I actually like the relationship between him and the Flash. I think that that's the best part of the movie. And there is good music once again. But I hate this movie. It's so dreary and dull and dark. And I really think, honestly, Joss Whedon, he did a great job at improving this movie. He saved it. He took it from being an F to a D. For all the shit that people give Joss Whedon, even though he's one of the best filmmakers of all time, he did a great job improving on the Justice League. And, this movie, honestly, it never should have been made. It never should have come out. It was a huge mistake. Number 7 is The Marvels. This movie is a chick flick. It's nothing but a chick flick. It is just, I don't even know why it was allowed to be made. The first movie only made money because it was connected to Endgame. It literally, it would not have made, any money if there wasn't, a Captain Marvel tease at the end of Infinity War. And this movie, it's stupid. It's a stupid chick flick. The villain sucks. She's like this dorky woman named Durbin. And, the fight scenes are not interesting. The idea was interesting to have the superheroes, switch powers. That was kind of an interesting idea, but it was horribly executed. And yeah, I would never watch this movie again. It was barely even a movie. It didn't even feel like a real movie. It just felt like a chick flick chopped together, or mushed together. Number 6 is Thor: Love and Thunder. Taika Waititi already ruined Thor with Thor Ragnarok. I don't know why he was allowed to do Thor: Love and Thunder, but this movie was a terrible sequel. It was a terrible Thor movie. He said it himself. He's like, oh, well, you love the comics so much, I'll shit all over your comics, baby. Or he said something like that. That was just it was like a fuck you to the fans. And that's what this movie was. It was a fuck you to the fans. I think one of the most disappointing things is that I was actually really excited to see Thor and the Guardians of the Galaxy together. I thought the idea of them being together, going on adventures together, sounded really badass. But no, right off the bat, he's not fat anymore. So that was literally just for a joke in Endgame, because it's oh, he got fat. Isn't that funny? There's no, character arc. He just loses the weight in a montage. I think he should have been fat the whole movie. And then I think at the end, he should have lost the weight. And that would have been so much better. And the movie itself, it was way too jokey. It was way too stupid. It was exactly what I expected it to be. And, it was just funny, all the people who praised Thor Ragnarok, I don't know why you didn't expect this movie to be this way. Because this is what that guy does. He just makes everything a fucking joke. And we're sick of it. We're sick of everything in movies being a joke. We want things to be taken seriously. Okay, number 5 is Suicide Squad. Okay, so first off, this movie was a miserable movie. It was boring, it was dreary, and they cut a lot of stuff out, I could tell. I was really excited for this movie originally. You know, I heard originally the movie was going to be really dark and R-rated, but then it is still kind of dark and dreary in just like an emo, like a fake way. Like, oh, look at all these dark characters because they're wearing dirty clothes. And, you know, they have a little sob story. But there's not really very much that's dark about this movie. Jared Leto's Joker is terrible. The villain, Enchantress, is probably one of the worst superhero movie villains of all time. The only thing that's good about this movie is that Margot Robbie is attractive as Harley Quinn. She's good to look at on screen. That's the only good thing about this movie. But even then, she kind of ruined the character because, like, honestly, Harley Quinn without Joker is just like a huge waste of time. You know, like, she literally is made for the Joker. And I'm sick and tired of seeing her not with the Joker because that should be her character always. You know, they did a good job with that in the Arkham video game series where she's always with Joker. And then he dies, of course, and then she's sad and she never gets over it. They did a great job with her character in those video games. So number 4 is Ant-Man 3. This movie, once again, it made everything a joke. It had Kang the Conqueror, who's like one of the worst villains I've ever seen. He gets beaten by a bunch of ants. And they did something with the mom in this movie, the grandma, actually. The original Wasp. So she cheats on her husband for the past however many years she was missing, that she was in the quantum realm with Kang. She cheated on her husband with him. And it was another kind of anti-men thing. And she wrote it off by saying that she has needs. And I thought, like, wow, like, you really put a joke in a kid's comic book movie that a woman cheated on a man because she has needs. Like, that's just the epitome of everything that's wrong about this movie. Like, that's not funny. It's not good to promote that. A woman cheating on her husband because she has needs and she's in the quantum realm with this horrible, evil piece of shit. And also what they did to, what was that guy's name? That MODOK? What they did to that character was terrible. You know, it was not comic accurate at all. I don't care what people say, like, oh, they gave us a comic book accurate character. No, they did not. But yeah, just the big issue with this movie is that they didn't take things seriously. You know, the trailer made it seem like this movie was going to be really, really dark, emotional, dramatic, serious. And then the movie is just like, the whole movie. And then at the end, they try to do this little dark thing. And it's like, no, sorry, this just was awful. Awful. And I remember there were people saying that Kang was as good as Darth Vader in Star Wars. And I was like, oh my God, you people are a bunch of fucking liars. All you critics do is lie. To benefit, you know, whatever company you're shilling for. Number 3 is Captain America, Brave New World. You know, this movie, it's funny because it probably was originally an agenda movie. But the thing is that what they did to it was they kept on reshooting it and cutting it to pieces over and over and over again until it's not even really a movie. It's cut to pieces. They have an Israeli superhero in the movie when Israel is committing a genocide right now. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. she's supposed to be like a Black Widow, but she doesn't have any sex appeal, and she's like short and tiny, and she's supposed to be fighting these like 200-pound men. It's just like a big joke. And then watching Falcon say that he's Captain America is an even bigger joke, because his fight scenes, it's laughably bad. Nothing about this movie is good. Even the trailers spoiled the movie because there's nothing good in the movie to show. And, so this movie, it's awful. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I could barely get through it. I much would have preferred the original Vision. Even if it was an agenda movie, if it was like an anti-white agenda movie like it was probably originally going to be, I would much rather take that over whatever like generic slop product that this was. And they also ruined the villain. They gave him like a comic accurate design, and then they said, oh, well, let's just change that because maybe people will say that it's goofy. And it's like, fuck you. Number 2 is Birds of Prey. This movie, I forgot about this movie. It is so bad. It's so bad, this movie. It is just, ugh. What's really weird is that they took like elements from this movie from an Australian movie, very obscure Australian movie called BMX Bandits. And they took elements from movies like that. And this movie is basically just an anti-men hate movie. And it's all about how men are evil, women are good, men are evil, women are victims. And there's just nothing about the movie that's good. Harley Quinn is not a good main character. She is a character that should be with the Joker at all times, unless she's been with him for a while and then she breaks it off and we see. But I'm sick and tired of seeing Harley Quinn as a solo character. She does not work as a solo character. She is not Deadpool. She is not interesting by herself. And in this movie, it's laughably bad that, like, they're using Harley Quinn, who's, like, a psychopath, to say that, like, oh, men are evil, men are terrible. And it's like, well, look in the mirror, Harley Quinn, you're terrible, too. And, yeah, but beyond that, there's nothing good in this movie except for Ewan McGregor. Him being cast as Black Mask, that was a wasted potential. That was a big missed opportunity for a good performance. Number 1 is Wakanda Forever. This movie, it was just a giant mistake. It was supposed to be Black Panther 2, and Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, very, very sadly, he died at a young age. And, that was very tragic and horrible, but it didn't mean that you had to make a bad movie, because, there was no reason that they couldn't have just recast the character. I think it's really sad, too, because, like, it seems like after Endgame, there was a plan that you could see Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Thor, characters like that, they were supposed to be leading the Marvel universe. They were supposed to be at the head of the table. And then they were like, oh no, let's make a bunch of like stupid shit movies and shit products, and let's sideline characters like Black Panther, Thor, Doctor Strange. He's not even going to be the main character in his own movie. We're going to make Scarlet Witch the main character. And then, oh, well, Chadwick Boseman died, so we're going to use that as an excuse to, speed force and go through to the agenda movie, which is Shuri, the sister, is Black Panther. And it was already bad because, like, in Black Panther's movie, the whole movie, he's outshadowed by all the women. And he's outshadowed by the villain Killmonger. And it's like, wow, after disrespecting him in his solo movie, You couldn't even bother to give him like another recast. Like, just recast him, or I mean, sorry, another actor. Just recast him. Like, I don't care if they just recast him as Michael B. Jordan, or if they brought Killmonger back to life as like the good variant or something and had him be Black Panther. Anything but what they decided to do, which was just do the MCU. And the movie was awful. It just kind of seemed like it was ripping off Thor: The Dark World. The way that they killed his mom. They had the whole part where there's the invasion of Wakanda. It very much just felt like Thor: The Dark World again. And the villain, Namor, was the stupidest Marvel villain I've ever fucking seen. He was terrible, trash. I didn't buy the thing at the end where he got redeemed or whatever. I thought that was queer as hell. And yeah, I hated this movie. It was only like 2 or 3 hours long, but it felt longer than Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's how bad it was. So anyways, those are my top 10 worst superhero movies. Please like this video and comment, and then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie rankings and reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon for my next Dexter review.